Cracker Barrel has been in the news lately for attempting to change their logo.
They took the cracker and the barrel out of the logo.
Can't believe they do that. How are we going to smooth out our earnings so that things look better for reporting for financials, where I do think it is a mistake to have such a reporting period? Because let's face it, 3 months, particularly at a large organization, you want to do something new, it's going to take you 6 months to figure out what the fuck you've got to do in the first place.
Well, welcome everybody to this week's episode of the Real Profit, Real Perspective podcast. We're changing pace a little bit this week, and you are getting to start off with the sound of my sultry voice this week. I am Ryan Bannister, joined by my co-host, Connor Malatesta. How are you doing today, sir?
Man, I am feeling so much better now that I didn't have to do that intro. That's, what is this? I've done, I think, 22 or 23 introductions, so it's nice to take a step back and just, let the magic happen. Honestly, I think you're better at it than I am.
I'm gonna say, man, you've perfected the art up to this point after 20 or so iterations, and
You get to now do the next 250.
Yeah, I took a page out of your book, and it's gotten us 53 seconds in. So,
and much like ChatGPT, you took that page and turned it into something that mostly resembles the original, but with very slight modifications.
With my own voice and tone and pacing.
you even, I think when you said that, I could hear the M dash in your speech. Because as we all know,
I've laughed about that since the advent of ChatGPT and how it uses them more. And I saw something from the OpenAI guy where they actually programmed it to use it more frequently because users like it, apparently, the M dash. But I'm one of the unfortunate victims who actually used dashes in my communication and emails and texts and stuff before ChatGPT was invented. So now it just looks like everything I write is just AI, where I just used it before.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I've done a lot of writing. None of it ever read by people because it's usually just boring audit reports or requests for documentation that go ignored, or emails requesting meetings that go ignored. A lot of what I write goes ignored, but I didn't realize what M dashes were until I was basically on Reddit, and Reddit was talking about the fact of how much AI uses it. And people were like, "Oh, I use it all the time," and I'm sitting there going, I don't think I'm illiterate, but I didn't know that it A, had a name, or B, was anything more than just a hyphen.
Yeah. Because I think
M-dash.
the difference is what? A hyphen is just one, and an M dash is two dashes put together, I think, right?
So that's why Word does that.
Yeah.
Okay, I may have used it a few times on accident where I went, aesthetically, the larger gap looks better, so we're gonna put that in there, instead of a semicolon. But yeah, it wasn't a normal usage in my written parlance.
Yeah, but well, so here we are, man. What where are we going today with this episode?
You just punted that right back to me, mostly because before
I know you said you had something exhilarating you wanted to talk about.
Okay, I did not use the word exhilarating. You are putting words into my mouth. But
I am the intro and the introducer this time. I get to do the adjectives. I am the captain now.
I feel like I just got played. Oh no! If it isn't the consequences of my own actions, it puts you in charge, and now I'm getting called out. So I did have something, and I think if we are good enough at the art of speaking, we may be able to turn this into something both informative and funny.
Okay.
But we had started briefly beforehand talking about Cracker Barrel. And anyone who hasn't been paying attention to the news, which honestly I hope is most people who may end up listening to this, because the news is just an absolute emotional black hole that just wants you to make yourself feel shitty about everything.
Nice segue from last week's episode.
Well, I feel like as if I didn't get to appropriately rant last week about how terrible the news is at just feeding negativity to people, and we can't stop, just
Hmm.
slurping it up like the absolute negativity pigs that we are.
But yeah.
Uh, really, really going on the the pig related imagery here. Um, but as I was skimming through headlines trying to come up with ideas, because sometimes even the wealth of creativity that is my brain runs dry. Uh, Pretty much every time I sit down in the morning with my cup of coffee to think about what I want to do today, I go, "Ah, I don't want to do anything." Cracker Barrel has been in the news lately for attempting to change their logo. N- Now, if anyone's not familiar with Cracker Barrel, I don't think we can really go into the storied history of Cracker Barrel, but I'm pretty certain that it is a staple of old white people for years,
Yeah,
years
man.
and years and years.
They took the cracker and the barrel out of the logo.
Can't believe they do that. Where in here is there's a DEI joke somewhere, but I don't know if we're at the point yet where I'm comfortable making that, but I'm gonna imply it a little bit. So they wanted to change their logo, and they were attempting to change. They had these plans because I guess they may not be doing too well. I haven't actually looked into their financials. Full disclosure, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I have not done a deep dive into the financial filings of Cracker Barrel to see
Ooh.
financially how they're performing. So I am just kind of flying half cocked here. But it got me thinking, because you've got a business like Cracker Barrel, which, just from what we've talked about, anyone who's heard of Cracker Barrel knows that they have a feel to them. They've got that old timey, you know, country style feel with the rocking chairs and the knickknacks and the gift shop and the little candies that you can't find anywhere else. And of course,
Old country store.
yeah, and then the little peg game that I could never. I'm sure I have refused to look online for how to actually solve that. I have never managed to just have one peg.
Does that put you, what is it, ignoramus, I think it says in the.
I think so. I do believe that's what my grandfather would call me every time I would fail. But I have never beaten it. Have you?
Not that I remember. I may have gotten it to what, two or three, I guess. I've gotten close. I don't think I've ever gotten it to one.
In the hundreds and hundreds of attempts that I've done, because it takes about 3 visits to a Cracker Barrel without a phone when you were a kid to get more, as the kids would say in the speedrun community, to get more runs on it than, you could even comprehend because you have nothing else to do.
There's
I
a lot of
was
RNG in that game.
Never mind, I do think technically it would qualify as a solved game. In much the same way tic-tac-toe is solved, in that with optimal play, you should be able to beat it every time.
Yeah.
Although I think anybody who's taken the time to truly look up the solving algorithm for the Cracker Barrel peg game, you're a fucking nerd.
Dude, there's some community of like, yeah, speedrunners or like record setting like Rubik's Cubes kids that look at this game and solve it in 2 seconds.
I think the Cracker Barrel peg game is like a gateway drug into speed running other types of games, whether that's Rubik's cubes or the cups game, whatever. You get started on that because it's there, and then they go, wait a minute, I could do this faster, and then it just gets out of hand from there, and then suddenly they're streaming on Twitch. But what was I talking about?
Interesting. Well, not to derail us, but just a quick Google
Oh no,
search.
enlighten me.
Apparently, there is no, according to the AI overview, there's no officially recognized world record time for solving the Cracker Barrel peg game, as it's a simple one-player puzzle designed for casual play, not competitive speed.
Okay, when has something only been intended for casual usage stopped anyone from attempting to speedrun it?
Stupid AI. Then, according to recordsetter.com, Robert M. in November 11th of 2012 solved the peg game in 31.4 seconds.
That seems high.
That seems high.
That seems really high. That okay, I guess we now can make it our goal to be the new world record holders for the Cracker Barrel. 31 seconds or what, 31 or 34?
31.4.
31.4 to solve the peg game. That seems like it should have a lot of opportunity for.
Yeah, that's got some improvement time on.
I would have thought it would be something like 20 or 15.
There is a video of this too.
Interesting.
Hmm, interesting. Yeah, that's the only thing I can find. That's apparently the unofficial record, I think.
Unofficial.
Or no, what is this? Oh God, I'm on some website with Stuart Bowling completed it in 9.44 seconds in April 23rd of 2024.
That is a very recent record. Okay, so what we are finding here that the rabbit hole of the Cracker Barrel peg game speed run truly it see now that seems more like a record that would be hard to beat.
Yeah, that's you're talking millisecond improvement times at that pace.
How do you, and then I wonder how do you what's I guess the type is it from first touch to finish or what
I
are our
don't know. I'm
scoring
like
criteria here?
curious to click on this video. Let's see.
Careful, you know what happens if you start clicking on videos on
Yeah,
sketchy speedrunning
I'm
websites.
hesitant. He did it. I'm watching it now. Maybe we'll be able to overlay it or something on the editing here.
Well, I think you are due to edit this week's episode, so good luck.
I'll see if I can get it on there for our listeners
Can
here.
you do
It's
like
pretty
a
crazy to watch this thing.
can you do like a screen share? We'll let you do a screen share right now.
Let's see.
Because that would give the perfect block of time here to then overlay the video. Although I wonder if when you do this,
Can you
I don't know
see?
if we'll be able to actually edit this in Riverside.
Go.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So two hands are allowed. Sloppy technique. I gotta say, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think there's a lot of missed opportunity in the actual removal of the pins, and I think that he definitely needs to work on his jump technique. I think he's lost a decent amount of time trying to.
But the camera angle with his arms covering the puzzle also leads. There could be some manipulation on this. We need a different camera angle.
I
We need
think
a
so.
second angle.
I don't know how much I truly believe this record. And now that we have wasted 30 seconds looking at this video, if we don't have it in the YouTube video, it's just going to be a weird silence for about 15 seconds. So I believe you're now committed to ensuring that we rip that video from somewhere and have it in there.
we shall find it.
Hey, you know what? Every iterative improvement here. We've had this one is genuine. I actually have had people tell me that we should add overlays and things to the video editing, and
That's
I
what I'm
said,
saying.
we'll get around to it when it really becomes something we want to do. But I think we might be there, particularly because you're due, so it means I don't have to deal with it.
I'm gonna attempt it. We will see.
You can attempt it just like the Cracker Barrel Peg Game speedrun. That'll be we'll upload to the YouTube channel our attempts at I'm gonna have to the order the game. We can film our attempts and see how that works. Um where oh, Cracker Barrel changes, peg game, speedrunning always comes in. So my question when I was reading through all this, what is it about these companies that have a long established brand identity? You have cracked the puzzle of having people understand your brand and what you're. Why do they change it? What is it with a lot of these? I think even small businesses will do it where they do this reinvention or whatever, and how many times does it really backfire? But what is it when you've got that niche figured out that just possesses them to want to change everything about what they do? I mean, apparently they had remodeling plans for decluttering and removing much of the, as the Wall Street Journal says here, the homespun decor. So they were going to remove everything that makes a Cracker Barrel a Cracker Barrel.
basically.
Whose idea was this?
I think the CEO, I think she's taking a lot of heat for this. Because if I recall the situation correctly, the CEO is relatively new into the position. I don't know how new, but from what I read, I think this was all driven because revenue was going down. So, and I don't know how much, but it must have been significant enough to warrant some investigation into it. But it is interesting to me that, I mean, Cracker Barrel has got to be one of the best brands out there. Like branding exercises where you go to a Cracker Barrel and you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like the old country store, you walk into it, there's a bunch of knickknacks and old crap in there that you can buy. You get seated by, and then you get a server who's got 1 to 5 stars on their apron. How much years of service or whatever they've got there. And
Alright, I'm gonna
I
be
don't know, man.
honest, I have not been to a Cracker Barrel in years.
I used to go all the time. I haven't been in years, but I used to eat there a lot. And that's why this is also so ingrained in my memory.
Yeah, so
But
not to turn this into a current events thing, but yes, Cracker Barrel CEO Julie Fels-Messino said, "People's immediate reaction to things is like, oh, this isn't the way it was, but they tend to come around," she added. So apparently, they are not coming around. And in fact, even President Trump waited and called for her to resign.
this warranted a presidential response.
It did. I mean, look, Cracker Barrel is a staple of Americana. It is important that it keeps its part in the zeitgeist.
Well, it is interesting to me though, just like how when you make a change like that, it can, I mean, that ignited a fire under some people, man. Like apparently people have brand loyalty to Cracker Barrel, but you argue too, like when revenue is going down apparently enough to make a change like this, like were they that big of supporters in the first place, or maybe this was all just a ploy to get people come like fired up about Cracker Barrel and
You
come
know,
back.
I have to say, because in any time you have something like this, there's always the conspiracy that it's all pre-planned from the beginning. And I have to say, as somebody who deals with the public a lot, that I don't believe, for the most part. Now, I'm going to do this a caveat because I know we talked about entertainment a whole lot last week. I will say that I think sometimes when they come into doing promotions of movies and stuff like that, they will play up controversy for the sake of things being talked about. That one I do believe in. But stuff like this, when you get into a failed rebranding initiative that pisses everybody off, truly, unless I am really underestimating the insight of marketing people, which very well could be. I'm not a marketing expert. I think neither one of us would claim to be that, and I think you could probably look at our LinkedIn profiles with our overall amount of traffic to see that truly we don't know how to get in front of a whole bunch of people. Massive grains of salt that we could be missing something here. But I don't think that it's ever we're going to do this and piss everybody off and it's going to drive more traffic because it has too much of a risk of blowing up in the face. The internet is a fickle bitch, and trying to predict what the internet is going to do, they have, I
Yeah.
think, billions and billions and billions of dollars have been spent on trying to best figure out how do we manipulate the internet.
Yeah. I have a really hard time believing that it's all preconceived. Like there definitely are really, really well planned out marketing, whatever you call it, blitzes or like campaigns that from start to finish are just beautiful that that work like that. But there's I really have a hard time believing this would be pre-planned because like you were kind of getting at, what if nobody had a reaction to it at all? Then like do you have to go through with the rebranding anyways?
Yeah, I mean, it's what do you if you have a branding that you're a new rebranding that is you're banking on pissing people off, and say they get distracted by something else that happens,
Mhm.
say another war pops up, right? So you're not gonna get the attention that you want or need to drum up business. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna then walk back the rebranding efforts and basically say, "JK, we were kidding. It was a prank, bro. It was a prank. We were trying to prank you, but things have gotten out of hand. There's a little too much international conflict for this to really work for us right now. Oh, we're not changing. We're kidding. Holy shit, we were just kidding." I think anybody who then would think that they could pull something off like that, I don't know, maybe I'm sure there are people who think they could do something, with a like a rug pull like that. But no, I mean, it just I don't know. It's like I understand the foot traffic is falling, revenue is falling, they're having, you know, problems overall. Although I think a lot of it is probably just due to overall problems with restaurants in general.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember when the last times I was there, which was years ago, but I remember waiting forever for food.
Dude, the wait times get crazy there.
You're sitting there going, I have literally gotten 100 runs of the peg game knocked out. I literally do not know what else to do. It has been almost an hour. Where is the
Yeah. Well, I had this thought, like, I forget the like trend term for it, but the essentially like, I don't know, corporate quote unquote modernization of all the restaurants, like how McDonald's buildings are not as like colorful, or they don't have the play places like they used to. And like Pizza Hut used to be the freestanding like triangle
Dude,
buildings.
I was actually in a Pizza Hut like a week and a half ago, um, getting pizza, and it was depressing.
It's so different. Like, and the theory of it, well, it's not even a theory. I think it's pretty much a fact at this point. Like all these restaurants nowadays that are huge, huge brands are taking sort of that character out of their buildings and making them essentially like gray square boxes. So if one ever goes out of business, you can easily sell it to another business. Like, you know, if an old Pizza Hut goes out of business and a new, we'll say a CPA starts their office in the old Pizza Hut, they become known as the CPA who's in the old Pizza Hut because it's the triangle building. But
Mhm.
if you take over a square building, it's like you're the new business that's in there.
So, it's one of those, and this is one of those things where, from us being the numbers people that we are, I understand the thought process from a pure, if this folds, how do we recoup the most of our investment at the end?
Yeah, like the least resistance to getting out.
But this is something that I do struggle with at times because I do tend to view things through numbers, is how much are you basically setting yourselves up for failure by basically planning for failure? I mean, if you're going into it with the mindset of, we're going to strip the personality out of our locations, because in the event that it goes to shit and we have to sell it, it will make it easier to sell the location. How much of giving an out then leads to taking that out instead of trying to fix fundamental issues? You know what I mean? And McDonald's, I
Yeah.
think, is a weird one in that on it at this point, McDonald's doesn't need the fancy buildings. They need the thing that sticks up really high into the sky with the golden arches and food. That is it. Nobody at this point is actively looking, oh man, I need to go find, the McDonald's thing. McDonald's is such a core part of whatever. There is no again, they have the brand. They've figured it out. It's done. They don't need to do that. And the restaurants continue to make money. Because it's fucking McDonald's.
Mhm.
You know? So when you've got this almost reminds me of um the American automakers, I think back in the late 1900s. I say late 1900s, like 80s, 90s, whatever. I think it goes back to the usual case study where I think it was GM. It was either GM or Ford, but I want to say it was GM. I'm going purely off memory, so do not hold this against me. Actually, on second thought, leave hateful comments if I'm wrong. Correct me in the comments on Spotify, on YouTube. Nitpick every detail that we do and tell us all the different ways we're wrong so that we can be better and so you can also feed the engagement machine. Um,
Yeah.
is it GM?
It I you continue with your I have a thought after your thought.
Okay, I thought you were like I realized I didn't give you enough content. The they were attempting to copy how Toyota runs their manufacturing plants.
That's not where I was going. Interesting.
Yeah, so you never when you were in college, you ever do in any of your business classes case studies on basically the Toyota trying to basically train GM?
No.
GM was massively struggling, still is struggling. They were also struggling back then.
Mhm.
It's been a consistent thing. And so what they did was that they brought in consultants from Toyota to try and get an understanding of Japanese manufacturing processes and how they do things because Toyota quality is, even to this day, really, really good. If you're going to pick one automaker out there that you are going to use as your armored personnel carriers to wage war against the United States, it says a lot that you can strap a 50 cal to the back of a Toyota, drive that shit in the desert. Says a lot about quality and reliability that you can mount a 50 cal to it.
And hey, we both have RAV4s, so
We do.
take that as you may.
Yeah, slightly biased, but I haven't had any issues with mine. But so what they did, they brought in these consultants to basically tell GM, how are we making mistakes? What is it we're doing wrong? And man, I am really trying to sort of the memory banks, but I think this is when a real big part of the just-in-time manufacturing kind of really came in, and Kanban, a lot of those. I'm going to gloss over a lot of the specific details. We could probably just do an episode on that. But the idea behind it was that GM could never replicate what Toyota was doing because GM as a whole lacked the culture necessary to run things the same way that Toyota did. There were huge differences between Japanese culture for what they would do versus American culture for what we would prioritize, how we would do things. And every basically endeavor that GM tried to imitate failed because they could not follow through correctly and they did not understand why Toyota did things the way they did in the first place. And while it's not the same, it starts to ring a little bit of familiarity when you start to see these large companies starting to copy each other with these different trends and things. I think that's the danger of trend chasing is, McDonald's can really streamline a lot of their stuff because really people want to get in, get food, kind of leave. At least I do. When I go to a McDonald's because the food is going to be made to McDonald's standards. It's always going to taste like McDonald's, and they've got clean bathrooms. I basically, whenever I travel across country, I pretty much just bounce from McDonald's to McDonald's.
McDonald's are great rest stops.
It's a cool. I've been on the road a couple hours. Let's find the next McDonald's. Then we'll be on the road for another few hours. We'll go to another McDonald's and over and over and over. And that is how I travel across the country and don't get food poisoning. I think
100%.
I think we've talked about that. Usain Bolt eats hundreds of chicken nuggets when he's at the Olympics when he is traveling internationally to avoid getting food poisoning.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. I know that's a big one that a lot of professional athletes, when they start to travel, will eat food like that because they don't have to worry about food poisoning if they are international or something like that.
Yeah, it's the same wherever you go.
Yeah, you go to
Crazy.
you go to a place that doesn't quite deep fry everything or cook it like that. You might get food poisoning. You're traveling. It's just going to be rough. You're in for a rough time. Chicken nuggets are chicken nuggets. You know, and where was I going with that? I think the remodernization of taking that stuff out is looking it seems to me, obviously, we weren't in any of the boardrooms, but Occam's razor, it seems to me that they view how McDonald's is doing a lot of that paring back of expenses and think that the secret that they need to do the same without misunderstanding that McDonald's has more of just a food-focused vibe, at least to me. This is my own personal view of when I think McDonald's versus when I think Cracker Barrel, it has a sit-down vibe, the stuff that's there, the style of food, all that is integral to the experience, and when you actually start to pare a lot of that back, you lose your actual brand identity. Why go to, Cracker Barrel versus somewhere else? And I think when you've got 20,000 layers of distance between the boots on the ground people that are running the stores and doing all that versus the key decision makers all the way up top. I wonder, does Cracker Barrel franchise?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Let's find out because let me see here. Okay, so every Cracker Barrel is company owned. They do not franchise.
Interesting.
So you don't even have a, franchise owner who may be able to give feedback. It is corporate owned. So I wonder how much of the actual problems are lost in translation of trying to take that information and feed it all the way up. You get somebody new. I don't know
Yeah.
who the CEO's background or anything like that, but I mean, it seems when you've got people bouncing from company to company, or you get so separated from things and look purely at numbers, you can start to miss that. Because I mean, it seems
Yeah.
like a major faux pas on her part.
Yeah, because to me, it's almost like restaurants are taking the Netflix approach to their buildings or to their like in this case not franchises or different locations what I'm looking for. So like they know they're going to throw out 1,000 new restaurants a year. That's probably way exaggerated, but like you open this many new locations a year, X% are going to fail. So you just start systematizing it even more to where each location's the like we said, the least resistance to getting out of it. So you can do that. You can close them in the most efficient way.
And again, yeah, and it there is that element though where if you're already looking at it, you're already setting yourself up for failure because you're already like, look, I get having a plan B is important when you're doing endeavors like this. Like I get that. Even when I do my own planning of anything, I'm always running through, you know, other potentialities and other courses of action.
Hmm.
What are we going to do? But when you talk something like this, where basically from the beginning you structure everything with that, what's the easiest way to get out? You end up building. You have a lack of commitment. When
100%.
you're going into it like that, and I wonder how much that has played into this as well. Is is it are they having, problem it doesn't seem like they're having branding issues. If they're having foot traffic issues, are people not going because, there's long ass wait times? What is it that's where I always wonder. I had a meeting a while ago. Maybe I think it was actually I say a while, it was I think within the last month and a half for a group that I'm a part of, that I'm trying to get more involved in leadership and stuff like that. One of the things that came up was attendance, right? And basically commitment to a group. And some of the people in there were talking, and it was that, well, what are we going to do about this? It's like, well, why are we having these problems? Like, sure, we can go off and just do some shit, but why are we having problems in the first place? Getting into, I know we've had enough episodes that I'm struggling to remember some of them, but it's kind of like trying to solve a problem when you don't even know what the problem is. If you're in school and you're given a test and you read through the prompt and it says, Billy has 25 bushels of blueberries. Sarah has 7 bushels of apples. Gas is currently $2.98 a gallon. There is a political convention that is going to be occurring in the city in 3 weeks. The train station that has normally had 10,000 people go through it over the course of a week is now down to 8,000. And tourists into the city have also been declining. What do we do? You're like, was there a problem? Like, what do you mean? What do we do? I don't, what the fuck? We've got issues. What the fuck are they? Like,
Where?
yeah, is it the apples? Is it the blueberries? Is it the train station? What happened? I don't, what do you just listed a bunch of data at me and said, fix it. Fuck's the
Yeah,
problem?
I'd be so interested to know what the whole process was behind it, because it just seems on the surface that like they jumped to marketing and branding as the first issue of why people aren't coming in, when, like you're saying, like there's definitely some more underlying cause to what's happening here. It's like they just looked at a business textbook and were like, oh, we should revisit our branding, you know?
Yeah, they did talk about that in business school. We should, they always talk about marketing. So yeah, let's start there because that's easier to change. Changing process is hard. Like that's really hard.
Dude, that's a good point. Like I wonder if that plays into it. The difficulty of the change, you know?
I'm gonna be honest. If somebody said, "Hey, we'll pay you $500,000 a year to attempt to implement process changes," well, although the CEO of Cracker Barrel, I'm sure she's getting paid way more than that. But for a large organization like that to have to implement all those process changes, I have to admit there was that part of me be like, "Fuck, that sounds like a lot of work."
Well, yeah, I mean, you've almost at that point got to go out and do internal audits of all your locations and processes and figure out if the problems are even consistent across locations.
Now, here's something interesting is sales and foot traffic have actually fallen since the logo change controversy flared up around August 20th. So they have had less people showing up. So it actively was
Interesting.
hurting. Now, the other part though that I wonder, and this actually continues to be topical because I was reading another article about this in the Wall Street Journal this morning as I waited for coffee to brew. Because I'm a real responsible professional and I read the Wall Street Journal as my coffee brews. What a boring
It's a good
sentence.
read.
It's such a boring sentence. Good read, boring sentence. Where there is a kind of renewed push for not requiring public companies to report quarterly, to move to every 6 months instead of every quarter. Which I believe when I was reading the article, I think that idea had been kind of tossed around a little bit during President Trump's first term. And I think that was something that he had supported. And I have to admit that is something that I would be in support of. I have long held the view, obviously, for what it's worth. We don't deal with a lot of publicly traded companies and their decision making processes. We deal with small business owners who make decisions on a weekly basis, not everything that looks a quarter. But I have long thought my sneaky suspicion is that many of the problems that large organizations like this, the large publicly traded companies make, comes from the fact that much of their decision making process is effectively quarter based.
Mhm.
We need to meet expectations. We need to meet what the analysts are going to say. We need to, meet this quarter's earnings. Going into audit and cut off all of that. How are we going to smooth out our earnings so that things look better for reporting for, financials? Where I do think it is a mistake to have such a reporting period. Because let's face it, 3 months, particularly at a large organization, you wanna do something new, it's gonna take you 6 months to figure out what the fuck you've gotta do in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, you can't.
It's no time, man. 3 months goes by like that, like a snap of a finger, you know?
Yeah, instead of and I wonder how much of that constant quarter pressure feeds into something like Cracker Barrel here, where, she's only got so much time to do things before everybody starts asking questions on, "Hey, the
Mhm.
company's not turning around, what are you doing?" And so you start to look for what are the easiest and quickest changes to implement in the hopes that that will work, because otherwise if you say it's going to take 3 years to turn this around, the analysts get upset, everybody gets upset and go, "Well, why should it take that long?"
Right. Yeah, man, that's such a good point. Like, and I looked it up out of curiosity because I couldn't remember from all of my education, but Sarbanes-Oxley was enacted in 2002. Like, you think of, so that's the act for, any non-accounting nerds that essentially required all the increased governance and auditing standards and the quarterly reporting standards that we're talking about. So,
Now, I
you think how
wonder.
many how much has changed in 23 years of, or like the way you could change the reporting nowadays to take less resources, still give information, and like you're saying, not necessarily drive as much to meet expectations of analysts every single quarter.
So I'm trying to type without letting the sound come through the microphone, because
It's
of
a very
having.
soothing sound. I like it.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it quietly. It's really glad I basically work on my own, because otherwise, when I'm typing away, it would keep everyone awake. But I'm curious. Does um I wonder? And this is I'm so far out of my depth on the requirements on this one. Does Sarbanes Oxley actually require the quarterly reporting, or is that just basically the standard that the SEC has held for a long time? Because the article that I read did not mention that Sarbanes-Oxley requires quarterly reporting.
That's a good question. Let's see. Yeah, so SOX is what requires quarterly reporting by public companies. There's Section 302 and Section 409, if that means anything to you.
It doesn't.
And
Let me.
these sections mandate that CEOs and CFOs personally certify the accuracy of quarterly and annual financial reports.
Yeah, I guess that would be you would have to roll back or something relating. But I do think my personal opinion on this is that having to do quarterly reporting for organizations like that is a contributing factor to many of the frauds that have occurred and a lot of the core fundamental problems that we have had with large organizations, because it puts such pressure to meet those metrics instead of honestly making plans and reporting things.
Which is ironic because it was contrived in the first place because of Enron and WorldCom and huge frauds that, and I guess people's minds like would have been uncovered if they were doing these things. But, it's hard to believe that I don't know, stricter requirements in that sense maybe would not, it doesn't necessarily like make better transparency on the front. It just makes you report your potentially fraudulent statements more often, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. If you're going to commit such blatant fraud like that, whether you're doing it, quarterly or whatever, I mean, I think weren't we at a continuing education at one point where what was it, the WorldCom guy was actually there speaking?
Yeah, that one was really, really cool.
Yeah, and they were making thousands of journal entries, like a month or a week or something to basically get everything to continue going forward. That was like they're gonna do that if they're going to, but not having the same, you know, effort to hit those analyst expectations like that, I do think has started to create its own problems in large or in publicly traded companies not acting in shitty ways.
Mhm.
I mean, when the risk is such that every time you have to do audit procedures, those are the considerations that you have to have because it's so frequent. It does make me go, wait a minute, why do we have this as such a stringent requirement if you have to tell us every 3 months how things are doing?
Yeah. Yeah, who knows, man? Maybe it's time. I don't know. Is Sarbanes-Oxley just like a permanent thing, or does that ever expire? It's probably a stupid question, but how often do you revisit things like this where 20 years of change has, I don't know, yeah, changed things. I mean, we have ChatGPT now. Who would have thought about that in 2002, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm skimming through Wikipedia right now because this article is long. Oh yeah, and then there was also Dodd-Frank and all that in 2008, which I'll be honest, I
Mhm.
know even less about,
Yeah,
just because again, most of our clients do not have to worry about. I say that with potentially one, but pretty much all of our clients don't have to worry about a lot of this compliance stuff. But I mean,
fortunately.
it's expensive. I mean, it's a great way to keep the big four remaining the big four. But I don't know. It has been what I have always thought that particularly when you've got a large organization, if you're making plans on the scale of months, that seems short when you're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars and thousands of people.
Mhm.
What real change can you get implemented over, say, a 3-month period when you've got 30,000 people that you have to take into account for how things are going to work? That's 12 weeks. That's a lot of
Yeah.
things to track. And then it leads to, Cracker Barrel thinks it's going to be a bright idea to change their branding, and not only has their stock price dropped, but then people have not been going.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said earlier, man. I mean, it's a hard sell to pitch a package of change that's going to take 10 years to implement versus, oh, hey, if we change the logo, it's next quarter, it's going to drive sales up 20%, you know?
We expect our modernization efforts will result in a 3% growth in sales for this quarter compared to last quarter as we get more in touch with modern consumers.
Yeah. We're
And I mean,
from the old country store to the modern country store.
wait a minute, this just looks like a fucking McDonald's. What the fuck? This is I walked into a Costco. What is this? What do you mean I gotta pick out the food myself? Cost saving measures. They fired the chefs. Like, what are we here for? I gotta cook this myself. It's dumb. It I don't know. I think it's just part of it is just that human nature of nobody, just like when we talk to people, nobody usually wants the real answer for why things aren't working well.
Hmm.
Why is misinformation constantly peddled in fucking TikTok? Because it's so much easier to have somebody tell you that over 3 months we're going to make these simple changes and all of our problems are going to be fixed. It never works that way. As soon as you do it, it starts to backfire. And you know, I guess again, it goes into negativity in the news as well. But change takes time. Change is hard. Change requires understanding the problems that you have in the first place and not just flying off and making stupid mistakes like this, which if somebody said, should we change our branding? And say, well, that depends. Do you have problems with your messaging?
Yeah, and I think maybe you even mentioned it earlier, but hell, that suggestion could have come from consultants or somebody they were paying millions of dollars to that came up with the bright idea of, yeah, maybe the branding is what needs to change.
Well, we've got our other clients that we've been working on, and, we've had a lot of success in taking their old style way of doing things, and we have totally reinvented them for the modern consumer because that's what consumers want. They want modern, they want sleek, they don't want the personable feel. We need to cut our costs by removing a lot of the clutter, removing the store. We need to reinvent ourselves. And you're like, I swear to God, I want half of their fee to just say, don't fucking do that.
It's a finder's fee, you know?
Tell you, I will save you half of whatever they're going to say. No, that's a stupid idea. But
It's
then
so
that,
true, though.
but then that doesn't give you the dopamine hit. If we're going to do this and things are going to be great, it's like, yep, how many millions go to the consultants that basically sell copium to these large organizations?
Consultants that themselves have never run a business, never held any position of consequence.
Oh my God. I have to say that is one of my pet peeves is
Oh, me too. Me too.
even though I know personally managed a team of half a dozen has been my cap in size so far. That's just now. Give me another couple years. But just from seeing the things that you have to track with half a dozen people, how things have to be set up, all that stuff that goes into there, how much comes into, the management of people, it irritates me to no fucking end. There are business consultants out there, business coaches, these other consultants that have only ever worked for consulting firms that don't actually understand how the fuck all this stuff works, who are then telling people what you're supposed to be doing.
Yep. Yep.
And then, when finally after they've gone through a whole bunch of people, then they talk to us and, they're already disillusioned with the consultant thing. Like, well, why should we believe you? It's like, I fuck, man. Like I can't stop you from what happened in the past. But we do know a little bit about, everything we've been doing. Like, this is what's gonna happen. I can't stop you, but it's gonna happen regardless. Don't change the logo. Or they said this logo looks great. It's like I looked at it. It sucks. The logo sucks. It
Mhm.
sucks. Why would you keep it? This is terrible. Don't keep it. But of course they said it looks great. They designed it for you.
Yep.
It
What else are they
sucks.
gonna say?
I don't know. It's stuff like this where I go, how do we get our hands on all that money to get paid to just do stupid God, I'd be livid if I got any advice that resulted in this kind of thing.
Yep. Yep.
Heads would be rolling if I had consultants that were played in there, which a lot of these you start to look and they've got outside people that they've paid. Gotta be so pissed.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
also
man.
the I have seen this mistake happen personally, which is leadership basically outsourcing decisions to the consultants and going along with whatever they say and wanting to just have those problems disappear because I've paid you to solve the problem. And it's like, that's not how it fucking works.
How did you get the job in the first place if that's what you're gonna do, you know? How did you convince the board to bring you on as CEO?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen small companies, private companies pull in consultants and all that and just want to it's ranting just a little bit, just as well as I do. It's something we constantly have to deal with where clients will want to take all of their problems and throw it at us and say, fix it. It's You can't just do that. That's not how it works. I can advise, I cannot run things for you. That's not how things work. You still have to do it yourself and take
Yeah.
responsibility and understand how to use resources.
Well, and when we start engagements with new clients, like I say up front, it's gonna be hard. It takes a long time. It's like turning a battleship here. Like there are a few quick and easy things you can do to fix and like remedies some of your situation. Like, if you're overspending or something, there's some quick changes you can make there usually, but other parts of your situation are gonna take years to unfold, and there's changes that happen in the meantime for that, which then makes you want to change other things. And it's just a constantly moving machine. And, you've got to be in it for the long haul and not try to, like you said earlier, man, like trying to like get rich quick or make make the quick bucks by you do these three things and you'll be financially independent. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It always makes me think, we should sell a class called The Easiest Way to Lose $300, and the fee for it will be $300. And all that'll happen when you buy the class is that it will auto pop up. It will open up the screen. It will open your webcam, and it will just show you yourself so you can sit there and contemplate on what you've done. You bought a class called The Easiest Way to Lose $300. You spent $300. If you do that, yeah, it's kind of like if you take an online IQ test, you fail. That's it. You fail.
It's at
There's
least if you buy our $300 course for that, at least you might get some self-reflection in. It's probably a better deal than some of the courses that are out there.
Hey, if you buy our course, probably one of us would be willing to have a 15-minute call with you and say, "Why did you do it?" It's like I think I've seen the online somebody, a book called How I Made $1 Million, and he just ended up selling like 100,000 copies of it or something like
Yeah.
that. It's probably apocryphal, but something where it's like, yeah, everybody was like, oh my god, how to lose 300. It's like,
But
hey,
there's actually hidden value in our course because you pay us 300 for us to then have a 15-minute call with you, ask you what the hell you're doing, but then remind you that you may have spent $3,000 on another course. So we've saved you $2,700.
exactly. We have saved 2,700 that you probably would have dropped on one of those guru classes out there on, how to be a solo hustler or an alpha male or an alpha hustler selling males. I don't know.
See, that's the quick marketing masterclass right there. Maybe Cracker Barrel should start selling a course.
Sell a course on how not to do branding. Although I bet the CEO when it's done is going to go ahead and write a book on the whole thing on, my lessons from this that'll be a New York Times bestseller because every book out there is a New York Times bestseller. Do you ever think that part of our problem is the fact that we have tried so desperately to retain some semblance of morality in how we do things and we haven't just completely and utterly given ourselves over to the shill? Do you ever wonder if that's what's holding us back? We
That's
too
the
could be
difference
out there.
between quick bucks and slow bucks, is morals.
The
Which honestly, there is truth to that.
fuck. Yeah.
And of course, ethics and regulatory things we have to comply with to do our job. But
Again, like we take those seriously, but there is always you start reading about what the large firms have done and what they constantly get in trouble for doing and all that. It's like, fuck, are we the dumb ones here? What the fuck?
yeah.
I just circumventing peer review and shit like that. Like, is that what we're supposed to be? Can't just do things right in the beginning. Let's just play a constant game of CYA. Jesus.
It's a crazy world out there.
We should sell it.
Stay wary, folks.
Yeah, we're gonna sell a course just entitled "Don't Pay Anyone Anything and You Can't Lose Money."
It's not bad advice, honestly.
It's just a certain point where it's like just because it sounds good doesn't mean it is good. Stranger danger is a thing. I guess we need to reiterate that. If it you and I both know from personal experiences, if it sounds too fucking good to be true, it's not real.
And I'm pretty sure that the North Carolina Division of Securities, their website says that directly on it for folks who are curious about, different investments you could make, that it is literally on the Secretary of State's website. If it is too good to be true, it probably is.
It's like the only way you're going to get your get rich quick scheme, or the only way to legitimately get money quickly, in large amounts in a short amount of time is usually through gambling. And odds are you're just going to lose your money. So don't. When the only options is to literally gamble, and we do not condone gambling in the slightest, like that's the best you're gonna get is just the predatory gambling. That's the most legitimate way, or trading stock
Yep.
options on through Robinhood.
Well, the funny thing is, I was laughing about that to myself the other day because I saw an article that Robinhood has started a sports book, so you can now do sports gambling on Robinhood. And if you don't think that buying individual stocks is a form of gambling, I'll show you. Take a look at Robinhood sports book.
It's one of those, like, technically when you're buying stocks, usually the odds of that investment going to zero is pretty low, unless you're doing penny stocks. If you're picking S&P 500 stuff like that, if we're being real, the odds of it going absolutely to zero is pretty low. And if you're doing an ETF or something like that through, like Vanguard or whatever, also pretty low odds that it's going to go to zero. But if you're already the type of degenerate gambler that is using Robinhood for your options betting, Robinhood was like, hey, what if you just did actual gambling? What the fuck?
Or in reverse, hey, we see you're betting on the Cowboys to win the next game. Why don't you see if Coca-Cola is going to beat their estimates next quarter or not?
Oh my God. At what
Same thing.
At what point do they just legitimately start to give odds on earnings beats? Not
It
even.
essentially is though, like dictated by the price of the options. You can kind of back into that.
I mean, you can, assuming that you don't get absolutely, ham-fisted by IV Crush.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's still, at least there's an element of it's not intended as a gambling item. It is intended as a hedging instrument. But I do wonder when Robinhood is going to just not be able to resist the pull of just straight up gambling.
Yeah. Hell, it could be already on there. I don't know. I haven't looked.
Uh, Gonna find out, like, oh yeah, they've talked. Let's see, Robinhood betting market. Are they? Oh, they launched pro and college football prediction markets directly within the app. What the fuck?
Nice. Yeah, I haven't been in the Robinhood app in a while. I'd like to see what it looks like.
Hold on. All right, I know we are past an hour, but I cannot stop at this. Um, an event contract is a type of financial derivative that allows traders to speculate on the outcome of a specific event. That is a very wordy way of saying it is a bet. These contracts are generally structured around yes or no outcomes and fluctuate in price based on the projected outcome of the event. Again, this is a bet. An event contract. It's a fucking bet.
With two outcomes. It
Event
happens or it doesn't
It's
happen.
binary outcomes. Event contracts then pay out if the position held matches the correct outcome of the event. Otherwise, they expire worthless. It is a fucking bet. Hold on. I need to. You you have to blah blah blah. I'm okay. I
It's too juicy to stop.
hold on. I need to do a control F here. Where does this show up? Let me open up all of because the the Google preview has, it'll pull the little text from the page.
Hmm.
The preview thing says Robinhood event contracts allow for speculation prediction markets. These are not bets. So where does it talk about that? How does Robinhood offer event contracts? Robinhood is able to offer event contracts through Robinhood derivatives and its membership with the partnered exchanges regulated by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Robinhood event contracts allow for speculation in prediction markets. These are not bets.
Yeah, interesting. So it's technically not a sports book. It is like a derivative. It's like a futures contract or something, I guess.
What kind of legalese bullshit did they manage to pull out that a futures contract that has a binary outcome based on the results of a specific event and fluctuates in price based on the projected outcome is not a fucking bet? How in the fuck did they pull that off?
That's a hell of a team of lawyers right there.
God damn. The next time I want to do some shady shit and keep it legal, I want to know who their legal team is. This,
Or really backwards from that, like just hire the legal team and ask them what sort of shady shit you can get into.
yo, guys, what are the things where you're like, technically this is allowed, but it's incredibly unethical? We're like, we don't care. Who cares about ethics? Uh, oh man. So here's their events. I just want to go through this. We're gonna take 10 minutes here to basically talk about how fucking dangerous gambling is. Let's let's say there's a binary election between candidate A and candidate B. If you believe candidate A will win the event, you could purchase yes contracts for candidate A. Depending on the contract, however, you may also be able to purchase no contracts for candidate B, selecting the same outcome. I'm betting candidate A is going to win. I bet candidate B won't win. Oh, I'm sorry. I have purchased an event contract that candidate A will win. The cost is the price you pay between 0.01 and 0.99. Jesus,
That's crazy.
wow. Wow. We want to bring how did they start with we wanted to democratize, I think is the phrase they used at once upon a time, investing and bring it to the people with no fee trading. How did they go from that to the ease of fucking gambling in the app?
That's got to be the wonders of different funding rounds and bringing investors in. Meeting expectations. I think this is all tied into what we've been talking about this whole
Jesus
episode.
fucking Christ. Man, we, we believe in the power of prediction markets and think they play an important role at the intersection of trading, news, information, economics, politics, culture, and sports. We offer contracts across crypto, econ, financial, sports, cultures, and more. Ultimately, our goal is to enable anyone, anywhere, to trade, invest, or hold any financial asset and conduct any financial transaction through Robinhood. You fucking whores.
They said it right there. They're enabling people, and I feel like we ought to probably include the gambling hotline.
Seriously,
If you or a loved one has a problem with gambling, please.
if you or a loved one has ever contemplated downloading the Robinhood app, please seek gambling help immediately. Don't fucking do that.
Do not. Just don't.
My God, that is yeah. We'll end on don't fucking gamble. If you want to piss your money away, send it to us. It is more responsible.
It'll get them far better return.
Honest to God, you will get more value by just Venmoing me money than betting on Robinhood. Because eventually I'll say, quit Venmoing me money. They'll keep taking your money. That is some wild shit.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is, man. It's wild.
anyway, have they gone public yet? Has Robinhood gone public?
I want to say yes. I think so.
I thought that's wild they could do this and potentially be public. Let's see if I just search Robinhood, it
Yeah,
should.
it's Hood.
Yeah, stock price rises after joining the S&P 500. Oh no. It'll soon be included in the S&P. So it is publicly traded. Robinhood, App11, and MCore are set to join the S&P 500 during the next rebalancing on the 22nd.
Wow, that's
Three
interesting.
company. Wait a minute. Oh man, this is fucking funny. They're replacing three companies. They're replacing Market Access, Phase Energy, and this is topical, Caesars Entertainment. So
Oh,
we are replacing one casino with another.
wow. What does
That's,
that say about the changes in the gambling world today? People are leaving casinos and going to digital casinos.
they have talked about the decline of what are they, third locations where people show up to meet and all that.
Yeah,
I guess that
yeah.
here we are. Nobody wants to gamble at the casinos anymore. They want to gamble on Robinhood.
Dude, why take a trip to the casino, whether you live close or you have to fly or go on a bachelor's party or something, when you can download Robinhood and from a tap of your finger, you could just lose the same amount or more
You
in
don't even
much less effort.
don't even have to wear pants. You can lose thousands of dollars from the comfort of your own home.
Just take the money you were gonna spend on the plane ticket and put it into Robinhood.
So does that mean that future bachelor parties are going to be a bunch of dudes just at somebody's house, shit-faced with their phones, placing bets on Robinhood and seeing who's
That's
going to
the
make it big?
that's the saddest image I've ever seen.
I guarantee you it has already happened. I feel like a boomer every time I start to, complain at times about how digital shit has gotten. But as somebody who works totally remotely and spends way too much time in front of the computer, the fucking problem.
Sucks you in.
Man, it's even got our gambling now. You don't need to gamble in person. You don't need to go make an event out of it. Just do it from your home. Give us your money at home.
That way you don't have to be ashamed in front of all your friends when you lose. You can just do it by yourself.
You don't want to be thought of as an idiot because you bet on black and it landed on red. You don't want everyone to know you don't actually know how to play blackjack well. You don't want everyone to know you have no fucking clue how to play poker. Pull it up on your phone. It tells you all just there you go. Place bets. Bet on sports. You don't have to go to your local bookie anymore at the restaurant to see whether or not you're gonna win, or just do it right from your phone because it's a legitimate company doing it. Fucking
It's a
assholes.
contract.
It's a contract. It's not a bet. It's a prediction event. It's not a bet. If it looks like a bet, talks like a bet, sounds like a bet, smells like a bet, and quite literally, from a mathematical topology standpoint, probably is identical to a bet. It's a fucking bet.
Bet.
It's a bet. Binary outcome. If it works, you get paid. If it doesn't work, you don't get paid. That's a fucking bet.
Mhm.
Whatever. Fuck your attorneys. If we get hit with a cease and desist from this, I'm gonna hang it up as a badge of honor and then immediately go cry to the news about it.
Yeah, you you were talking about anything else new you could hang up behind you. That could be the first new thing. Just
That'll be my next big LinkedIn posting. Man, never believe what I got. Apparently, Robinhood listens to the podcast. Also, they don't like the podcast. I've got really angry letters from some attorneys. It's great. Oh shit. On that note, don't gamble. Don't download Robinhood. If you have investing needs, talk to Ryan because he'll keep you from doing dumb shit. And if you want to piss money away, let us know. And fun fact, we have invoicing systems, which means we can make any dollar amount that you want disappear. We will gladly take the whatever tax burden you don't want to deal with, we'll take it ourselves.
Yep. If you think you're about to blow money on something, ask us first. We are happy to oblige.
We should just set up payment links on our websites. You thinking of gambling? Put your money here instead. We'll take good care of it. No, you're not getting it back, but we'll keep you from spending it. But you did the
Finder
intro.
fee.
You did the intro. Also gonna make you do the outro.
I was going to think you were doing the outro because I did the intro, but
Normally, I think I do outros as well. I don't know. I'm totally bullshitting right now.
I don't know. I don't know. But, seriously for this one, we did go quite a while. So if you are still listening, you are our people. But this was a good one, man. I appreciate all the thoughts and, you know, Hopefully, we may have rage baited some people in the meantime to drop a comment or something. And if you haven't yet, just go ahead and do it.
Rage baiting will continue until engagement improves.
But I think that's all my final thoughts, man. You know, before you go hire a consultant for millions of dollars, or you know, even for your small business, you know, thousands of dollars that could be spent somewhere else, you know, try to find the real problem before you do that.
Yeah, seriously. And if you can't find the problem, reach out to us. We're real good at finding problems.
Absolutely.
And
That's
with
what we're
that,
paid to
everybody,
do.
don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening to this on Spotify, please leave comments. Give us a rating. If you're on YouTube, I'm going to repeat it again. So the little subscribe button beneath the screen will light up with a really fancy confetti when you say like, comment, and subscribe. If you look down there, it should be kind of all, woo, look at that. And, we will see everybody on next week's episode. See you then.